Crackdown ahead of Lok Sabha polls. Enforcement Directorate arrests Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren arrested. IT department slaps 1,823 crore rupee notice on Congress. Opposition cries vendetta politics. Foul play or fair probe. Political rumble with Rajdeep Sardesai.
Hello and welcome to the political rumble. Will India have a free and fair election in 2024 as the government and the Election Commission assures us, or are we heading for an unfree and unfair election? Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's arrest this week has sparked off concerns, not just in the opposition ranks, but even in some global capitals, on whether India's election 2024 is devoid of even a semblance of a level playing field. Tax notices against the Congress, ED notices and arrests to opposition leaders, even as government MPs and their allies are given a clean chit by the very same central agencies. Are we heading for an opposition-mukt Bharat because of a non-level playing field? Or is the Modi government justified in claiming that it is not responsible for actions of the agencies? It is the opposition itself which is in disarray. That's the big debate on our weekend special, The Political Rumble. Joining us now on our Political Rumble special guest, Trilochan Shastri, Chairman, Association for Democratic Reforms, has done stellar work on exposing electoral bonds and other issues. Jaiprakash Narayan is founder of Lok Sabha, a group that emerged out of a need to change the politics of the country. Ajay Alok is the senior BJP spokesperson. Shama Mohammed is National Congress spokesperson. And Jasmine Shah is the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. I appreciate all of you joining us on the show today. I'm going to raise big questions and then also give pointers as to why we are raising them. The first big question in this IPL season, which is Indian Political League, have Enforcement Directorate and Income Tax become impact players for the government in the 2024 Indian Political League? Contentious issue, but one that I want to take straight on at this moment. And I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this, because when you look at the number of people who, since the Model Code of Conduct came in just a couple of weeks ago, who've either been served notices or have been arrested, clearly questions are being raised. ED action after polls. Arvind Kejriwal arrested. That's grabbed the headlines, but there are many others. Bengal Minister Chandranath Sinha has been summoned to appear on March 27th in a teacher recruitment scam. He's accused of scams in that. You've got the Khichdi scam accused. This is Amol Kirtikar. He's a candidate in Mumbai Northwest, was served a notice within an hour of his being declared the candidate. Kerala ex-minister and CPM candidate Thomas Isaac has also got to appear before in a masala bonds case. Remember, in Kerala normally you wouldn't have seen this. This is an even more significant one. Pinarayi Vijayan, case filed against the Kerala Chief Minister's daughter Veena, accused now of money laundering in a specific case. You've got a raid on leader Deepak Singla, close to Arvind Kejriwal. Many say that he is connected to Kejriwal, suddenly finds himself now being accused of money laundering. The list goes on and on. Mahua Moitra, high-profile TMC leader contesting from Krishnanagar, she too has been summoned in a FEMA case. Summons to Congress leader Harak Singh Rawat to appear on April 2nd, money laundering. I emphasize this is all after the Model Code of Conduct. Goa AAP leaders, Amit Palekar, among others, their president there, asked to come and appear before the ED in the liquor policy case. We can go on and on. I just want to get a sense, therefore, where does all this leading us? Is the ED and income tax the impact player of 2024? Contentious, but Ajay Alok, your response, since the accusation which is being made is that the government of the day is using ED and IT as weapons. You weaponize them to target the opposition, sir.
Well, Rajdeep, the way you were mentioning all the list, it must be giving an impression that the moral code of conduct should be implied to income tax department and ED also. Because all the persons you mentioned in your list, the cases are quite long and they are ongoing cases, and subsequently, according to the legal course of investigation, summons are being issued. How is government concerned? Just let me know. I mean, if you take from 4 to 14, there were so many income tax cases, there were so many arrests, there were so many DA cases. Where was Mr. Modi or the BJP? Lalu Yadav got terminated, he got arrested, he was barred from contesting elections. The Chara result came out. Kanimoji got arrested, D. Raja got arrested, they were part of the UPA alliance, they went behind bars. Where was Mr. Modi? Nowhere in the scene. Where is BJP? Nowhere in the scene. All these parts are course of legal things which takes place. The only difference, what happens here, we don't stop the investigation. We don't ask the agencies to stop the investigation. They are doing their free job. Earlier, what we used to happen, we have seen that in cash for note scam, where the charges of DA were dropped against Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav to save the government. We have seen that happening with Mayawati. This is not happening in this government. The agencies are free and they are just issuing the notices,
sir,
and if need be, they are arrested. If I talk about, let's be specific.
No, I'll be specific. I will give you only yesterday. Praful Patel, just a minute.
10 seconds.
Sir, just a minute. There is a word now which has got into political parlance. It's called washing machine. And I will give you exact examples. I will put on the screen all of those who are supposedly the beneficiaries of a washing machine. Only yesterday, Praful Patel, case closed. But there you've got Ajit Pawar. Mumbai police filed a closure report in the Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank scam. The Prime Minister in a public speech had virtually accused him of being a prime accused in an irrigation scam. Praful Patel, CBI has closed a case which had been begun in 2017. You're saying that you all don't stop any investigations. I can go on. Under probe, Ashok Chavan has just joined you. We don't know now the status of the case against him. Under probe in the Adarsh housing case. There's Chhagan Bhujbal. Under ED probe, the trial yet to start. He's now seemingly got relief. The case has slowed down clearly. Narayan Rane, he's a minister in your government accused in a 300 crore money laundering racket. We haven't heard of it in the last couple of years. No progress, no questioning, no notices sent. Bhavna Gavli, in the very week that she joined you, she got an ED summons. Moment she got it, no more summons have been issued against Bhavna Gavli, now with the Shiv Sena Shinde group, which is your ally. There are Pratap Sarnaik, under probe. The probe has clearly slowed down ever since he joined you. There has been no further notices that we know of that have been sent in the last 1 year. Yamini Yadav was under IT investigation, probe slowed down again the Shiv Sena group, particularly in Maharashtra, number of cases. Hassan Mushrif, under ED investigation, your own Kirit Somaya had said he was corrupt. We haven't seen any progress. He's a minister in your government. So we can keep putting those names. Suvendu Adhikari, probe stopped after he joined the BJP. Sir, this is the washing machine. The argument is that this is the washing machine. I want your response. You say, we do not stop probes against anyone. The truth is, the moment they join you, the probe either slows down or is closed. Your response, sir.
Yeah, quite a long list again and quite a long list of explanation why you're saying so. But I guess today you should have listened to Praful Patel today. He was speaking in a conclave today. And he very clearly mentioned that his name was never mentioned in the CBI FIR. First thing, the case got closed because of its own beginnings, and his name was never mentioned. That's what Mr. Praful Patel said in a conference. I'm not saying this, it is Mr. Praful Patel's observation. Second thing, all the names you're mentioning, the probe isn't dropped. If the probe is dropped against anyone, and if anyone has a substantial evidence that he or she is indulged in that, well, please, this is a democratic country. There is a courts. Please go to the court like what we have done from 2004 to 14. We keep on moving to the courts, saying that there is an ample evidence. The investigation should be launched, and it was done.
Okay, we
don't forget this is a democratic country. Why don't you go to the courts instead of rampaging all the charges on the television?
You've made a charge which deserves to be responded to. Shama Mohammed, the charge is, why don't you go to the court? I could add more names here. Janardhan Reddy, Once the accused, the prime accused in the mining scam has joined the BJP, Tapas Ray, Shubhendu Adhikari accused him 2 months ago when he was in the Trinamool of corruption. He's now a candidate from North Kolkata. So, Ajay Alok, this is only a small list, but Shama Mohammed, respond to what you're hearing from Ajay Alok. He's saying, if you have so much evidence that the probe has deliberately been slowed down, go to the courts and get relief from the courts or get the courts to act.
Okay, so let me explain a couple of things. He said he gave a very good point in saying about A. Raja's arrest. That's very interesting because A. Raja was with the UPA. I want to know who has been arrested from the Bharatiya Janata Party even now. During our time, I still remember Ashwini Kumar stepped down when there was some allegation against him. Pawan Bansal stepped down when there was an allegation. Like you said, A. Raja, Kannimuri arrested. So this shows that the ED or any organization at that point of time was working impartial. Now come to 2022, we remember that Justice Khanvilkar, what did he do? He stayed or strengthened the ED by saying arrest as well as attach properties before trial. So this was not the case when the UPA was in power. Let's understand this. Then you have the case of Sanjay Mishra, the ED head, whose term was increased. I mean, it was 2 years, but he was given extension after extension. Finally, Supreme Court had to come in. So what we see is a pattern. Another very important point, FCRA tightened off Mother Teresa as well, Mother Teresa's organization, as well as now you know what has happened to CPR. But you don't hear about FCRA being tightened off Vivekananda Foundation or, for that matter, ORF. So this is the pattern. The pattern over here, Rajdeep, is that they keep telling us, why don't you go to court? Now, what happens when you go to court is it goes on for some time. So like I said the other day, during the Chhattisgarh elections, they came out with the app allegation against our former Chief Minister, Bhupesh Baghel, gaming app. And then now it's quiet. So what is their pattern is that they come after you during an election time. Now, I want to know exactly from this particular spokesperson, why did they change the rules of how to appoint the election commission? Why not have the Chief Justice? And it was a judgment which came from the Supreme Court. They brought in an ordinance to change the election commission, the way an election commission is appointed. This is
what do you want the electoral? Let's focus, madam. Ma'am, you're raising a lot of issues. I want to focus at the moment on the central question I've asked. ED and IT becoming the so-called impact players. I know that your party, for example, is claiming that the IT notices that you've been served, now they've gone up to 1,700 crores, and the Congress is crying foul, claiming this is being done to virtually prevent the Congress from having access to funds. The BJP will turn around and say, look, there's an income tax process, you've gone to court, the court hasn't given you relief. What is the BJP supposed to do? You see, the BJP's response to you is the courts are you saying
Rajdeep,
the courts of this country are also impact players? Are you saying that the courts of the country are also run by the Modi government, ma'am?
See, why? No, I'm not saying any of those things. We had a good judgment in the electoral bonds, even though it has been delayed by a very long time. But look at what has happened with the High Court judge who was giving all the cases pro the BJP and against the TMC. What is he doing right now? He resigns and he gets a ticket to fight election. I mean, isn't that quid pro quo? Why not a cooling period of 3 years? What is happening? Who was the former Chief Justice made the Rajya Sabha member of parliament in their party? So I am not accusing any, but there is a pattern here. Look at what is now the tax issue which you talked about. Now we have the Election Commission's page shows that 1,297 people have deposited 42 crore to BJP between 2017 and 18, and their names and addresses are not mentioned, and they have not filed for this number of people as well as the amount, the Bharatiya Janata Party. So why is there no fine against them? Our question today is, if you look at the pattern, every ED investigation, every income tax is coming to the opposition. During our time, which I made very clear, that it was against the opposition as well as for our own people. Nobody is denying. If there were 26 members during 2004 and 14, political leaders investigated. Out of that, 6 were of the Congress, 3 were of the BJP, and the rest from the other parties. So there was a level playing field. How do we go into elections when there is no level playing field, when our money is frozen? Every every opposition leader,
your money is
including
under
Tejasvi,
lien, but I take your
including
point.
Rohit Pawar,
I take your
including
point,
JM,
ma'am. You are saying, just a minute. You have used a word, there is no level playing field. I want to take that now to Jasmine Shah. Because Jasmine Shah, this argument is being made even in the court by Arvind Kejriwal's lawyers, including Abhishek Manu Singhvi, that there is no level playing field, that this entire investigation, the Delhi liquor scam, has been done to ensure that Arvind Kejriwal cannot campaign in the 2024 election. He has raised that issue of a level playing field. Now the BJP again there will say, or the government will say, look, there's a scam, several people have been arrested, and they haven't got bail. Why are you blaming us simply because of the timing which has come just before the elections?
Rajdeep, first let me explain this washing machine that the metaphor that you used. BJP in the last 10 years has invented the largest washing machine in the world. And this washing machine doesn't need power. It needs only two entities, ED and CBI. The moment you pull this away from BJP, the washing machine stalls. Now there are two settings to this washing machine also, Rajdeep. One, where you insert all the dirty industrialists, you wash them. What happens? Electoral bond donations come to the BJP. Second, you put all the dirty politicians, you wash them. What happens? All of them migrate to BJP. All the cases are dropped. With the electoral bond data, 41, there is very precise information of 41 large companies that have totally donated 2,700 crores to the BJP and who were raided by ED, CBI and IT. Mind you, ED and CBI and IT raiding a company means that there has been a large-scale matter of corruption or money laundering. And it turns out that out of these 2,700 crores, 1,698 crores has been given after the raid. So ek hisab se this has become an extortion racket that now the BJP never expected this data to come out. But now that it has come out, it has no explanation as to ये जो खुलेआम extortion racket आप चला रहे थे with the name of ED and CBI. What is the answer to that? And I'll give one example which links to Arvind Kejriwal case, Rajdeep. Why we are saying this is a completely fake scam. Number one in this list of companies that have donated to BJP after a raid by ED and CBI is Aurobindo Pharma. Who's the owner of Aurobindo Pharma? A chap called Sharath Reddy, who was a liquor businessman who also owns liquor businesses. Now, he happens to become a government approver after 6 months of arrest. For 6 months, he says, I do not know Arvind Kejriwal. After 6 months, he changes his statement and says that now I remember knowing Mr. Kejriwal and I have, done some dealings. And he becomes a government approver. And what happens? He ends up donating 55 crores to the BJP. And it is on a statement of a person called Sharath Reddy, who the ED has called in its charge sheet as the kingpin of the liquor scam, that Arvind Kejriwal is arrested. So what is happening at one end is that...
Aurobindo Pharma donated to other companies as well, Jasmine Shah, and the ED is claiming he's not the only witness or evidence that they have.
Very important distinction, Rajdeep. Let me clarify it once and for all to all your viewers. Sharath Reddy owned 3 companies, Aurobindo Pharma, Eugia Pharma and APL Healthcare. Now these 3 companies have donated 55 crores to the BJP only after the arrest of Sharath Reddy. After Sharath Reddy's arrest, not a single party has benefited. These are large companies, so in the past they have been donating to other parties. But moment ED arrests Sharath Reddy, puts him in jail, after putting him in jail, he transfers 55 crores to BJP and says whatever the BJP wants him to state. So the point is, is there political vilification happening? It is. I think these are very two light words. What is happening is decimation of the opposition. We don't have any precedence in the history of India that 4 top leaders of a national party are put in a jail in a completely fake case where there is zero evidence, zero money recovery so far. And now that we get a recovery of 55 crores from one of these kingpins, the money goes to BJP. And we have raised all these facts and ED is not even willing to investigate. In fact, ED is defending Sharath Reddy in the court, saying
you made your point. I want to turn to my 2 other guests because they have looked at this electoral bonds issue very carefully as well as the role of agencies. Let's start with you first there, Trilochan Shastri. I'll raise that second big question about the electoral bonds itself. Are these electoral bonds in a way a reflection of a potential scam in the making? How do these electoral bonds actually play out? Do they skew political funding and has the BJP been the big beneficiary? Or is this a case, some call it Hammam mein sab nange hai? Your response to what you're hearing, that electoral bonds became virtually extortion and that is being kept on the side and the focus is how do we nab the opposition leaders? How do you respond?
See, Rajdeep, since the elections are around the corner, you are focusing the question of one party versus the other. From ADR's point of view, we were very clear. This is about transparency in funding, and electoral bonds were not transparent, which the Supreme Court has upheld. I mean, to be honest, we never asked the Supreme Court, we asked them to ban and stop the electoral bonds. We never expected that all this data would come out and all these discussions would happen. So our perspective is long term, and I will mention two things here. One is that if you look at it internationally, arrests of opposition leaders have mostly happened in countries which are run by dictators. We have never seen this happening in Europe, in Japan, in the United States, in the UK, and other countries which are considered democratic. Well, I am not a fan of those countries. I am a fan of India. The second point that I would like to point out is, as one of the speakers might have mentioned, in the 75th or 76th year of independence, we have never heard of an election where so many leaders were arrested, and they all happened to be from the opposition parties, and nobody is arrested from the ruling party. Our data in ADR shows that all the parties, as you said, Hammam mein sab nange hain, that includes, of course, the ruling party, which has the maximum number of seats, and therefore it also has more than 100 people in the Lok Sabha through self-declared affidavits saying that they have criminal cases. Now, how come they are not being investigated? How come nobody from the BJP is ever, arrested? So these are raising big questions, but I will stop here and say that from ADR's point of view, we are happy that this churn is happening. But we are for all the political parties. We are in favor of voters and transparency, and we are not in either for or against this party or that party. We wish them all well, and we wish that the elections takes place in a very fair way.
Okay, but are the elections free and fair, or are they unfree and unfair? Let me raise this word which is being used again and again, Jayaprakash Narayan, level playing field. Do we have a level playing field? I come back to my original question. Have the ED and the IT become impact players for one side? And has therefore elections become subject to what I call the washing machine syndrome? Not me, but people across, observers are calling it the washing machine syndrome. Is that something that should trouble us? We'll move away for a moment again from bonds back to the original question. ED, IT, impact players, and the question related to it, level playing field. Do we have a level playing field in 2024? Yes or no? Or was it always like this? Whoever was in power misused agencies.
Rajdeep, certainly the timing of some of these instances is disconcerting. There's no question about it. And in a democracy, particularly on the eve of election, even the appearance of impropriety is not desirable. Not only it's not desirable, it's actually counterproductive. The reason why I'm not apocalyptic about the electoral process is all these steps, if indeed there is a perception that you are hounding the opposition, in India, typically it went against the parties that were held to be guilty by the public. So I don't think it will really work politically. But that's a part. Is our democracy robust enough to withstand some of these distortions, hopefully temporary? I believe so. Because for a functioning democracy, we require certain conditions. We are a real and robust democracy, though flawed democracy. There's no question about it. We are a flawed democracy, as America is, as many countries are. First of all, there is fierce electoral competition. It's not make-believe, it's not a shadow competition, it's a real fierce competition. Excessive competition in my view, because there is so much of a lust for positions of power in this country. The second is the political freedoms are real in this country, through the election and throughout the period between the elections. The third is there is a robust, independent judicial process, though it's ineffective and slow in general, but nobody can question its independence or robustness in the country. And therefore, you cannot merely punish them because you happen to be in power. You may harass them. There are accusations of harassment. I'll come to it in a minute. So I don't think there's cause for a sense of impending doom or a crisis.
No,
But
sir,
yes,
it's not about Jayaprakash Narayanji, I'm sorry to stop you. It's not about impending doom. It's the fear that the process has become the punishment. It always perhaps was. But as Tarlochan Shastri pointed out, there is a clear perceptible trend of a kind perhaps that we haven't seen to the scale and the brazenness of it all, where opposition leaders one by one are being picked up, even as anyone who joins the government or is an ally of the government is protected. I mean, how is that, according to you, even a side of democracy? That's not flawed democracy, that's a distorted, badly run democracy, for God's sake.
No, this is all wording.
No, it's not wording, sir. I'm sorry. I find you being very soft on the word. It's open.
As I mentioned, it is disconcerting, undesirable, and even counterproductive. But the real issue is rule of law. See, the problem is the opposition that is genuinely raising these issues should have come up with a response as to what they would do to change the way things are done. It's not about an individual's decision. It's about an independent investigative mechanism, effective mechanism, and accountable mechanism. If any one of them is missing, if you have a rogue police force like today in Telangana, there are allegations, they're using several laws to tap the telephones of many people, and certain rogue policemen are actually using it as a mafia to control people and turn to extort money. So the dangers are much bigger than a person being arrested. I don't see any robust response, constructive response to the opposition. Everybody is using it as a punching bag for elections.
That's a good point.
Happening.
So
there is no rule of law in India.
That's a good
if
point.
If the opposition comes up with a creative response, what do you do with prosecution? What do you do with crime investigation? What do you do with procedures, with forensics, with courts, trial courts, higher courts? Nothing. Zero.
That is the
tragedy of India.
That's a good point you're making, that this is symbolic actually of larger crises in our criminal justice system, which may be exploited. A law like the PMLA has been weaponized because it has become so easy to weaponize a law that denies bail unless you, the accused, can prove that you're innocent. But you've been raising your finger for a while. Ajay Alok, please respond, sir.
No, first of all, this is not fair. You are just not giving me chance to respond to Congress, neither to Aam Aadmi Party or to a fellow panelist who compared this largest democracy in the world. Just a second, judges. First of all, Mr. Trilochan Shetty, I admire him a lot for all the work he has done since 2003, right from criminality of the elections and all, now electoral bonds. I have tremendous regard. But to say this thing, that we have dictators only who arrest opposition leaders. In any mature democracy, we don't see that the opposition leader get arrested, and he cited examples of America and UK. Just to refresh you, August 2023, Donald Trump got arrested in Georgia County. He spent 30 minutes in the jail, but got bail immediately after furnishing a bond of $200,000. Why didn't Arvind Kejriwal got the bail? And how dare you call this as a dictator-run country? This is the largest democracy in the world, and I'm citing you with the example of the oldest democracy in the world. I mean, anything for the heck of it. You didn't allow me, Rajdeep, when Congress spokesperson was changing the goalpost to Election Commission. You got irked with her that why you are changing the goalpost. Why didn't you respond at her that it was the Supreme Court judge's order that meanwhile the Parliament doesn't pass the order, the Chief Justice will be there in the committee. Meanwhile was the statement. It was clearly mentioned by the Home Minister in your conclave, and you forgot that conveniently. So the Parliament got passed the law, and that's why the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is not there in the panel. What's the problem? Each and everything is being done according to the consent of law. What do you want? Law should function just because they are the opposition leaders. What happens in Japan? We have seen multiple prime ministers going in jail for this corruption cases. Isn't there a democracy there? I mean, for every small little thing, your democracy is gone. There's end of democracy. Right now you said it's a distortion of democracy, it's a distortion of PMLA Acts. No! It's the first time the law is taking its own course and the government is not interfering.
Okay,
and no one can
very strong words. Those are very strong words.
Run by a dictator.
Those are very strong words to suggest, even according to Ajay Alok, that we are heading towards dictatorship, that the rule of law is being subverted, that democracy is being distorted is unacceptable. He says, Aam Aadmi Party, Shama Mohammed, respond. You first, Jasmine Shah, then Shama Mohammed.
Let me first call out the lie that Ajay Alok said on your show. He said Donald Trump got jail and then he got bail within 30 minutes. And Arvind Kejriwal did not get bail. The huge difference between these two cases
Georgia
is...
court premises for 30 minutes.
Please
Check
stop
your
yelling.
facts.
Please stop yelling.
Why didn't
Let me
the
respond. You can speak in your own.
Looks voice down. Jasmine Shah, your quick response, please.
My quick response is that over there, Trump was convicted. At the end of a trial, he was convicted. And then he was given bail because he is appealing to the next court. Here, what has happened, Rajdeep, is that the trial for this so-called Delhi liquor scam after 2 years of investigation has not even started. Forget about conviction. There is no parallel anywhere in the world where a case is dragging on, investigation is not completed, trial is not even begun. But you put the top 4 leaders of a political party in jail. If this is not dictatorship, what is?
Okay,
There is no single parallel anywhere in the world.
Okay, you made the point. Shama Mohammed, there was an interesting point that was just made, which seemed to suggest, as Jaiprakash Narayan made it, that the opposition keeps name-calling the government dictatorship, washing machine, but you offer no alternative to change the criminal justice system. In fact, Rahul Gandhi has gone on record to say, beware, we will also come to power one day. And then see what happens with the CBI and ED. Now, this is what your leader says. I mean, then then you're talking of vendetta politics. This is the problem. They did it, so we will also do it. This is his exact quote, ma'am.
No, you're misinterpreting, Rahul. You're misinterpreting it, no? I mean, when somebody says, does it mean that? Of course not. I mean, we have a record from 2004 to 14. Rajdeep, you were a reporter. You know exactly how the government was functioning. And I've given you multiple examples. Now, I want to call out Ajay Alok. He thinks he can come on a channel and start shouting and he thinks everybody is going to believe. He talked about the Election Commission. I want to ask him, then why did you take an ordinance route in the parliament? You should have passed a bill. You took an ordinance route because nobody was in agreement with having an election commission appointed with 2 cabinet ministers and the leader of opposition. 2 plus 1 it will be. Who's going to listen? When you had an independent chief justice and leader of opposition, the prime minister, it would be a divided vote and you could at least find out whether you could, this is the right election commission or not. So don't come out and keep shouting and think that people are going to listen to your point. I'm sorry. Let him not.
No, we don't have any Rahul Gandhi who can tear the audience out and take the respect out of the
Okay, one minute. Faders down, just a minute. Faders down of both my guests. Faders down. I just want to read the exact quote, Shama Mohammed, since you questioned me.
Why?
If these institutions, Rahul Gandhi, just a minute, ma'am. If these institutions, he was referring to CBI, ED, had done their job properly, there would be no problem. These agencies should think that someday the BJP government will change and after that there will be action, and it is my guarantee that the action will be so strong that no institution will dare to do such things again. I want to understand, what does he mean?
So I'm trying to tell you, see, we want a transparent sort of institution. People cannot, these people who are in CBI, for example, in other democracies, you know, I know today, because of what is happening in Gaza, there are people resigning from the State Department. So the CBI and the ED cannot be just following orders every time. They should put their foot down and say, no, we are not going to go and do this. See, the reason of this arrest of even Arvind Kejriwal is what I told you.
Ms. Shama Mohammed, if the Congress comes to power, are you saying that you will ensure that the police reforms of this country are implemented that have been lying in a cupboard in the in a file in the Home Ministry for over a decade and a half? You were also in power, and you will give the independence to the police force, to the ED, to the CBI. Are you giving me that guarantee today?
I am not giving you a guarantee, but I would really like police reforms to be done. It is very important how agencies in the US and other democracies are independent. And the other thing which we do not have, if the ED or some sort of organization in America or the United States or UK does wrong, they have a congressional committee to question them. Why did you do this? What was the reason? Who questions the ED? There's nobody to question the ED. We don't have a committee of members of parliament questioning them. That is the issue. The ED is not answerable to anybody except the government of the day. So the government of the day has weaponized it. Like I said, what happened with the judgment in 2022 of Justice Khanwekar was that you can arrest, like Jasmine said, there are people in jail before trial. But according to the judgment, you can arrest as well as seize property before trial. So you have strengthened the ED. You have weaponized the ED. That is the issue. We need to go back to how the PMLA was before 2014.
I do hope though that you will, if you ever come to power, or as and when you come to power, you will relook at and ensure genuine police reform that frees up these agencies and enables them to act independently. That's the big difference between us and the United States.
They should be
I heard the example, just a minute, ma'am. I heard the example of Donald Trump. Let's also be honest. The United States ensures that the rule of law works howsoever powerful you are. In India, unfortunately, the rule of law depends on whether you are in power or not. That's the problem in our system, and that's the difference that I'm pointing at, which leads me, Jaiprakash Narayan, to ask you, do we need a change in rules to ensure a level playing field? The point that you said. You see, when I have BJP and Congress, they will tell me, remember what the Congress did during the emergency, or the CBI was a cage parrot when you were in power. Now the Congress will say it's an uncontrolled ED that is only targeting the opposition. Is there any space through rules, through law, to ensure a level playing field?
Rajdeep, our election commission is easily the strongest in the world for quite some time. The fear that no election commission is going to be partisan because there's no chief justice is unwarranted. For 75 years, we had elections without anybody except the prime minister choosing the election commissioners of all parties. There were, I don't want to name names, there were some very unsavory people, a bad track record appointed, but the commission and the country withstood that. Because there's a culture, there's a tradition, there's a public scrutiny of very high kind, and parties are very alert. So believing that somehow elections will be completely marred because of election commission's appointment is absolutely ahistorical without any evidence whatsoever. Second, we already have robust rules as far as the polling process is concerned, and the counting and declaration of result, etc. And there is a very healthy tradition in India of accepting the verdicts after the election is over. What is happening is before the election, all the rot is before the election, vote buying, distribution of liquor, and then, though constitutionally legally valid, excessive emphasis on short-term welfare at the cost of the long-term fiscal health of the country. And of course, dividing the people on caste, region, and religion lines, because that's the only way parties are able to mobilize. These are issues of political culture and electoral system, not the election commission or conduct of election.
No, but should the election, sir, the same election commission,
what happened in Chandigarh?
Sir, the same election commission, sir, which moves promptly to transfer officers, DGs, other officers. When it comes to the Enforcement Directorate at the moment seems to be a law unto itself. The moment a Shiv Sena candidate, Mr. Kirtikar, gets the nomination, within 1 hour a notice is sent to him in an old case. The CEO of a company which is also in the scam has shifted to the Shinde Sena, and he doesn't get a notice in the same case.
So Rajdeep, you are basically hinting at a Bangladesh model, at least what will operate at one time, where the elected government will be out of place, and then there will be somebody else independently in charge. That's not desirable or possible in our democracy. We have to fix institutions instead of thinking of an unelected autocracy during time of election. In fact, when a former Chief Election Commissioner made this point, when he was Chief Election Commissioner on national television, I robustly opposed him. Because in India, time and again, the parties that were in power tended to lose elections, not win elections. Only in recent past, things have changed a little bit across the spectrum, not merely at the national level, but the state level also. So you're trying to solve a problem non-existent in India. You don't want Bangladesh solution to India's problems. We have a unique set of political challenges and opportunities. We must not borrow Bangladesh practice.
It's very interesting you mentioned Bangladesh, because Bangladesh has often seen the opposition even boycott elections in the past, claiming that they have no faith in the system. But Ajay Alok, once again you're raising your finger. You deserve the first chance, and then I'll go to the others.
I just want to say that these people are giving preachings, this Congress and Aam Aadmi Party, about the democracy, how to save democracy, and what kind of institutions they want when they come into the power. Well, I'll say you again, they want a committed judiciary, they want a caged parrot CBI, and they want a caged parrot institution of this country, which is dangerous to the democracy for this country, like what you have said, what Rahul Gandhi has said. I'll give you a small example for committed judiciary. You remember Baharul Islam? 1972, he was a Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress. He resigned, was made High Court judge in Guwahati High Court, and then brought back to Supreme Court. This is the committed judiciary they have. 1975, Chief Justice of Supreme Court elevated to the Supreme Court, forgetting all the seniorities. We don't want this kind of a country now. Enough of mayhem. Now we are heading for a different India, and it's a new India. And we are not going to listen to you.
Sir,
and none people of this country are going to listen to you. You may keep on shouting.
Sir, you're saying you don't want you don't want a committed judiciary. Yesterday only there was a letter which was put out by 600 lawyers, promptly endorsed by the Prime Minister of the country. And it comes after the electoral bonds case, suggesting pressure is being put on the judiciary. So when a sitting High Court judge, in Kolkata leaves to join your party, there's no problem.
Is that a committed judiciary step?
Okay. Yes, Jasmine Shah, you respond now.
No. Is that a committed judiciary
I
step?
do not know. The kind of logic that are being extended
Whether the Prime Minister should intervene in the matter is another question. It is one thing for lawyers to write. The Prime Minister also seems to want to put pressure, some believe, on the judiciary as a result. But respond, Jasmine Shah.
Ajay Alok doesn't seem to either know or has a very short-term memory about the actions and the stance of BJP. This is the same BJP that, until a few years back, wanted to control all judicial appointments. They brought a bill they were very strongly, they had to hear back from the Supreme Court, and that is why today things are at a collegium. Second, today so many judges are waiting for their elevation. Why? Because the central government hasn't given a nod. It is very clear that, despite all that Ajay Alok can say here, their actions are showing very clearly. Please stop yelling. Please stop yelling in between when I say. Point is that they have continuously tried controlling the judiciary. If there is one party that wants a committed judiciary, it's BJP. Election Commission, there has been a complete takeover. Just in the last 3 days, Rajdeep, let me tell you, in Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party office is being shut. It has been geared out from all the sides by the police. Our candidates are not being allowed to go out and campaign. Why? Because बहुत हल्ला हो जाएगा, Arvind Kejriwal को अंदर डाल दिया. I mean, we are not even allowed to protest on the streets. But when BJP protests, they get police protection, they get support of all kinds. So every single day, police is used against Aam Aadmi Party, Election Commission is used against Aam Aadmi Party. I mean, it seems like the entire system has decided that if Mr. Modi fights Mr. Kejriwal at the similar playing ground, then Mr. Modi doesn't stand a chance.
You made your point. Shama Mohammed also had raised her hand. Let her respond. Just a minute. Shama Mohammed, respond. I want a level playing field on this program, equal time. Go ahead.
I just want to tell Ajay Alok, in 2011, the CBI filed a charge sheet against Kalmadi. Which party is Kalmadi from? The Congress party, because there were allegations against him. That is how transparent the Congress party and the UPA is. Now let me talk about yours. Now you are the ones, not we, who said Ajit Pawar is corrupt. The Prime Minister, Kirit Somaya, Devendra Fadnavis. Now what happens to that? This is what is our problem. When he joins your party, it becomes clean. You are the ones who said Hemant Biswas is corrupt, not us. What happens? He joins your party, he becomes clean. Narayan Rane, you accused him of money laundering. What has happened to that? He becomes clean. In our time, whether it is A. Raja, whether it is Suresh Kalmadi, or whether it's Kandimari, we used to use the CBI to investigate everyone. There was a level playing field. You understand that? One more thing.
Ma'am, you're saying there was a... Just a minute, Ajay Alok. Ma'am, you're saying there was a level playing field. I will have BJP leaders who will tell me, look at the way Narendra Modi was hounded. Just a minute. They will say, look at the way Narendra Modi was hounded. Amit Shah was put in jail. At that time, according to the BJP, was that evidence of a level playing field? CBI was used according to them.
So, okay, can I say about Amit Shah? Where did it come from? It didn't come from the CBI. Amit Shah came from the Ahmedabad courts. It started. Then it's the High Court which asked for a CBI investigation. Let me remind you, Rajdeep Sardesai, Gujarat High Court asked, that's when we entered. So there were cases from the state. CBI didn't just go and jump in there. That was the reason. And you know what happened with Mr. Modi also. There were cases against, he was not allowed to travel. Many countries around the world didn't want him. So, of course, we followed the rule of law. That's what we did.
Okay, you're claiming you followed the rule of law. Okay, just a minute, ma'am.
Many countries around the world don't want him.
Ma'am, just a minute now.
Made by the Congress.
Can I get the voices down? Tarlochan Shastri, you've been the most patient and you perhaps have reason to say you've not got a level playing field, enough time to answer. But I want to understand from you, as an organization which is committed to, in a way, cleaning up public life, when you hear debates like this, when you're seeing what's happening around you, are you sanguine about the state of democracy? Jaiprakash Narayan says, look, it's a flawed democracy, but he's still hopeful it's a competitive democracy. Do you believe it's a competitive democracy, or if one side has its hand tied behind its back while the other side can run with resources and more? Is it a level playing field that is skewing democracy?
See, Rajdeep, you have raised some very important questions. I don't think, what is the meaning of the word level playing field, because there has never been a level playing field. Even when the Congress was in power, the Congress always had more money than the opposition parties, and today the BJP has more power, has more money. Actually, I am a little sanguine, like Jay Prakash, my dear friend and mentor, that Indian democracy is in good hands. Sometimes when you start cleaning up things, a lot of manthan or churning takes place, and many of these issues that we are hearing about are coming up. But I am actually hopeful that as voter awareness increases, voters will demand better democracy, and we will get it.
No, because the fear.
But coming back to the current situation,
for example, out of the manthan of over electoral bonds, the fear is cash is back. And cash will go to whoever is in power, and they will then be able to actually skew democracy even further. So while we resolve one problem, we've created another.
No, Rajdeep, let me just clarify on this. The electoral bonds were issued on January 2nd, 2018, well before the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. So they were in place, and in 2019, a record seizure of cash took place by the Election Commission, appointed by the government, of course, a record seizure which exceeded any cash seizure in 75 years of democracy. So electoral bonds did not stop black money, and in the Supreme Court judgment, please read it, Rajdeep, and I would request the people of India, the Election Commission has gone on record in writing saying that the electoral bonds have every chance of actually increasing black money. So this is just some political gobbledygook that because of electoral bonds, black money was gone, and after their
so
electoral
you're saying
bonds
electoral bonds is a
is
fraction?
going to come back. This is
you're
completely
saying electoral
false.
bonds remains a fraction of the cash
false.
that comes at election time, and the real challenge.
No question whether it is through.
So the real challenge.
The real challenge is to get rid of electoral bonds.
Okay, I want to go. I just have
I'll tell you. We have an excellent ED and income tax department. We have an intelligence bureau. They seem to be knowing a lot of things that the ordinary citizens don't know. Before the elections, they know where the black money is. They can just seize it.
Yes, but the question is, sir, the question is, do they only go and raid opposition parties, and that's where we come, and do they allow the government to get away? That's been the real center of today's debate. Because what's happened in the last few weeks seems to suggest that these agencies, which may otherwise be very professional, are using acts like the PMLA to target the opposition and let the government get away. So I'll go round the table with 30 seconds to each to ask for one suggestion, one solution that each of you have. The parties first. If you come to power, Dr. Ajay Alok, will you be willing to give an account of the ED's actions when it comes to people who are your allies against whom cases are closed and the opposition who seems to be targeted? Are you willing to give the people of this country an account on the so-called washing machine politics? 30 seconds.
ED is an independent organization and it's completely in public domain. If anybody has doubt about ED CBI's integrity, they can please move to the Honorable Court. No need to ask us because they will never trust us. I know, I'll give you a small example. On March 2021, BJP got an electoral bond of 50 crores from Future Gaming. And then on 12th April 2022, ED raided and attached their 309 crores properties. Why ED has done that? Because BJP was a beneficiary, ED shouldn't have done it. Do you have any answer for that?
Okay.
And please, you were never a level playing field in your debate.
Sir,
you were putting me 4:1 and you are not giving me
Sir, they're not 4:1. I think that's an insult to Jai Prakash Narayan and Tarlochan Shastri to say 4:1. I think that's I've given you equal time.
No, I'm counting you on that 4. I'm counting you on that 4.
You can say what you want.
Jai Prakash,
you can say what you want. I do not. I will continue to ask you the hard questions. You have too many.
Four of you,
put his voice down. I'll tell you why. There are too many anchors who have stopped asking questions, Dr. Ajay Alok. You are someone whom I respected. Start listening to anchors who ask questions. Do not target me. I am the messenger. It's for you to answer. You should tell me, a Naveen Jindal, whom you accused in the Colgate scam, is now your candidate. Janardhan Reddy, whom you accused in the mining scam, is now being embraced by you. I'm only asking the question, sir. That's my job. Up, 30 seconds to you. Jasmine Shah, Delhi liquor scam. Are you willing to come? Are you willing to accept the court verdict? Whatever the court says, you will accept or not? Or will you say the courts are also bought in this country?
Absolutely not. And we have never blamed the courts. It is because of the PMLA law that almost makes a bail impossible until you start the trial and finish the trial. But BJP has not been even wanting to begin the trial. They want Aam Aadmi Party leaders to be in the jail for years and trial doesn't start. I have one very commonsensical suggestion because you asked for solutions. Rajdeep, if these two suggestions which I'm going to make, if even BJP implements, half what I would say 90% of the trouble will be over. Number one, if ED takes up any case, finish it within 6 months. You cannot keep an investigation going for years and years and then make it almost like this thing. And second point is you cannot put a person in jail without trial or conviction. If you're really sure that somebody is so accused and there is solid evidence, finish the trial quickly, convict the person and then put in jail.
So with due regard, that is not just to a politician. Remember, there are thousands and thousands of under trials in this country who suffer even more from longer periods in jail. But Shama Mohammed, you're quick. Congress suggestion, if you all come to power, I asked you this earlier, are you willing to give that commitment? You will keep all these agencies free. You will not have any more cage parrots.
See, I believe a democracy should have independent organizations, whether they're Election Commission, ED, CBI, income tax. That's how a democracy matures. Otherwise, it's not a democracy. Now, just coming in for Ajay Alok, he talked about future gaming. I can give him another one. ED raids future gaming on 2nd April 2022. 5 days on 5th April, they donate 100 crores. ED IT department raids Shirdi Sai Electricals in December 2022. In January 2024, they give 40 crore as electoral bonds. So, it is out there how ED has been functioning for the electoral bonds as an extortioner.
Your time is up. I have to level playing field. Your time is up, ma'am. Jaiprakash Narayan, 30 final seconds and exactly 30 seconds. If there was one place you would start to restore confidence in this whole idea of a level playing field, I emphasize that there should be a level playing field because that's what democracy was meant to be. It doesn't mean who wins or loses. BJP can get 400 seats. That's not the question. The question is ensuring both sides have equal opportunity to woo the voter. One suggestion, 30 seconds.
Very briefly, Rajdeep, we are not dealing with black and white, good or evil. It's various shades of grey. The first step to transform the system is, can we create a framework of robust rule of law? Again, in which the first step is there are many things to be done, it will take a long time. An independent, effective, accountable investigative system. Because if it's not accountable, trust me, mere independence, there are many countries where rogue police forces are a disaster for the country. So independent, effective and accountable.
You have an example, global example?
You have in Australia, you have in Britain, you have in United States, and much of the United States, you have in France, many countries have it. Many mature democracies have it.
Okay, let me leave it there. Maybe you've given us something to chew upon. Maybe whoever comes to power must recognize power is ephemeral. It doesn't last forever. The one thing that must last are our institutions. Strengthen them because that is when democracy will truly become robust. I thank all my guests for joining me on the Political Rumble and for you, the viewers, for watching the Rumble, the program that asks the hard questions. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Namaskar.